So today's video is going to be something different. I think I'll dive into more fighting style analyses on this channel since I enjoy doing that, and we're going to start this new series with someone who's not actually from Eastern entertainment. It's not even a manhwa character. I used to be big into comics before getting into anime and manga, and to a degree I still am, but far less these days. Alternate universe runs like Ultimate and Absolute from Marvel and DC respectively are my favorites currently, because they're fresh starts and everything. I haven't been keeping up with the new Ultimate Universe and Marvel. Seems a little chaotic, but I've been keeping track of Absolute Batman the most. It's the best thing out of DC these days. And I love the new suit they've given him in the new mainline series. It's on screen right now. Blue Batman's always cool, and I do hope they use him in the new movies. My analysis of this character will be based off what I've seen him do, personally, plus what I know he took up from the comics I've read here and there. It's a very personalized look at the character, and obviously can't include everything, because that would be a lot. I'm trying to look at styles that you, in the real world, could pick up and combine to essentially LARP as Batman, with the mind and resources of a regular guy. What I'm not going to do is mention things like learning engineering, criminology, and so on, because those are a big part of becoming Batman, but we're talking about just fighting here. Lastly, this is just for fun, and again, it's my look at the character, so that it might inspire you. Don't take too much of what I say seriously, and if you do know more about him, drop some good lore in the comments. If you're asking about Absolute Batman, we can get him out of the way right off the bat. He does Muay Thai and BJJ. It's told to us by Alfred in issue 1. Now, Bane notices he does Savate before demolishing him, so that's what we know about this Bruce so far. Just 3 styles. In any case, let's actually start this off by analyzing how Batman is built as a person. If you're familiar with him, you know he's mastered around 127 different martial arts styles. It sounds impressive for sure, but it just won't work. Taking striking styles, for example, they have tons of overlap. They feed into each other. For example, if you start off with boxing and transition over into Muay Thai, you already have good hands and footwork that will carry over, even if you have to modify your stance. If you move from Muay Thai to Karate from there, you might have to adjust how you throw kicks by emphasizing the chamber some more, but you'll still have a general sense of how things work. Everything is connected, and that's part of why it's so much fun. Now, if I was a comic book writer, I'd use that to basically explain how Batman could master so much, and that's if I wasn't going full-on fantastical with my version of the character. Before I move on, I gotta mention that Alex Ross is the god of Western comic book art. Generally, Batman is built like a linebacker or even a bodybuilder, but he moves around like a gymnast. He can do these things because, of course, he's Batman. I'm gonna show a bronze statue of Batman. I think it's life-sized, which should really explain why he's so terrifying. I don't care what he's dressed as. If someone like this is barreling towards you at like 3 in the morning, you're going to be scared. Another part of being realistic in terms of mimicking Batman is that Bruce Wayne in the real world would be on all kinds of experimental steroids that he either bought or developed himself. There was even a story where he put himself on Venom. I think it was written in the 90s, and Absolute Batman currently has that stuff flowing through his veins. So to bring this back to a realistic plan, step 1 would be to get adequately athletic. Build yourself up. It's a prerequisite to all of this, I believe. You may not have a genius level IQ or be around 6'2" and 200 pounds, but you can get decently big and get good cardio. How you are built plays an important role in how you fight. Martial arts can be framed as a type of sport. At least that's how I frame them. It's a genre of sport centered around teaching you how to strike and grapple properly, teaching you how to fight effectively, but in my view it's still a sport and an athletic endeavor. So coming in with strong muscles and a propensity for agility and explosiveness is going to give you an edge. There's really no such thing as a style that 100% overcomes this. Technique is a multiplier, so having a better body helps you use techniques better, and it becomes a whole circle. You can do this a bunch of ways, mainly through weightlifting, resistance training if you really want to pack on size. Now, if you're natty, calisthenics can only carry you so far, size-wise, in my opinion. Now, alternatively, getting into your chosen martial art will make you athletic over time as a sort of side effect. Just don't expect some kind of crazy impressive physique from doing that alone. You'll be athletic, not aesthetic. To manage expectations for what you look like by doing nothing but martial arts or just a sport, frame it as if you're playing a sport for fun. You'll gain some muscle, sure, but you won't look like Prime Arnold or Menzer. Now that we have build out of the way as a sort of prerequisite, The base of all this, again, being athleticism. Let's get into the styles that Batman studied. His main style is boxing. Now, whether he learned to fight from Alfred or Ted Grant, aka Wildcat, he has always got to be a proficient boxer. You can even see this in the Batman 2022. It's not said outright in that film, but it looks like Bruce Wayne throws some clean punches. I don't know if Robert Pattinson was doing his own stunts, but in some instances it looks good. So he always begins with boxing in my interpretation, something that is an absolute necessity for any aspiring martial artist. There's a very good reason why boxing has been integrated into a lot of other styles over time. Next up, let's give him jiu-jitsu. In some of Batman's earlier appearances, it's said he knows this style, but he also mentions it by name in Batman the Animated Series, which is one of my favorite takes on the character. A lot of the time, he's tossing people, which is closer to judo, but jiu-jitsu does have standing throws. Now, I don't know much about it, but I'm pretty sure modern jiu-jitsu has sort of become an all-around submission grappling style. It's been absorbing different moves over the years. Now, if I'm wrong about that, help me out, as it's not my wheelhouse. I'll keep calling this jiu-jitsu just to keep things simple. And in the animated series, specifically Mask of the Phantasm, the movie, he's throwing kicks and wearing a gi when he says jiu-jitsu, so I'm just going to add karate as his third style. He also has a whole training arc in Japan. You can see it in some episodes in the animated show. In Batman Year One, he chops a brick and breaks a tree in half with a sidekick as more evidence of this. If you look at the Arkham games, which we're going to come back to, you can see he definitely trains in something like karate or maybe even taekwondo, because he throws this jumping spinning back kick in his base combos a lot, which fits taekwondo more than karate to me. So, if you want to pretend to be Batman in real life, we've got his three main styles being boxing, jiu-jitsu or judo here, and either karate or taekwondo as the third major one. Now those last two are swappable, but personally I really see boxing as a non-negotiable. You know, looking at these older panels, it feels like there's been some sort of decline. I'm not sure what it is about the older art or storytelling, but it just feels like things have gone a little bit downhill. Maybe it's just how overwhelming modern comic book canon is. Let's get back into it. I'm personally curious about what Master Kirigi taught him in Korea. For what I'm talking about, I'm drawing on a series called The Knight, which I think is Bruce's new origin in canon, but Kirigi has been around for a while in canon. Anyways, in his origins in The Knight, Bruce Wayne went to study under a man named Kirigi in the Paektu Mountains. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Now, I don't think they explicitly named whatever Kirigi taught him, but it looks like some kind of kung fu based on how the students are dressed. To summarize, you've got an American in Korea learning from a Japanese master while they're all dressed like Shaolin monks. I think this mystical type of stuff is awesome for fiction. I love comic book ninja training. Going back to realism, for striking, I'd say do boxing alongside a kickboxing style of your choice. You really should study boxing separately because that's how valuable it is to me. If you want, you can take up a traditional style as long as it has kicks. So to summarize, step 1 is get athletic, get in shape, and step 2 is take up boxing, jiu-jitsu, and either karate or taekwondo. Your choice on which of these you'd like to really focus on. I think the best showcase of comic Batman's martial arts in motion has been the Deathstroke fight in Arkham Origins, either the trailer version or the actual version. And if you look at the footage, again, it's got the karate flavor to it. He's using outside blocks, X blocks, connecting those into strikes. It's a very karate-esque sort of thing we've got going here. Movie-wise, we gotta talk about one of the defining fights, one of the defining moments for Batman on the big screen overall. The warehouse fight from Batman v Superman. Regardless of what you think of the movie, this is one of the big ones. Ben Affleck's Batman clearly draws on Arkham Batman a lot, and there are others who have analyzed the fight scene on YouTube. So just to summarize, very heavy punches, so boxing, oblique kicks and back fists and stuff like that. He also relies on his brute force here, so that goes back into how important being athletic is. The fear takedowns in Arkham Knight are amazing, one of my favorite depictions of showing us just how fast he moves and how powerful he is, swinging bad guys around and hitting them so hard they go flying while the world around him is in slow motion. What this means to me is that if we take these fear takedowns as representing how he sees the world when in combat, and if we take Arkham Batman as a comic-accurate version of Batman, then his philosophy is striking hard, switching from target to target. So if you can somehow implement this in your training mentality, that will also help you align yourself with how Bruce Wayne thinks. I know this video is about copying a fictional character, but if you're interested in self-defense, as lots of people who want to get into martial arts are, I'm going to say boxing is your best bet because it gives you the best results compared to the time spent training. It's specialized for a single aspect of combat, built around the most common and instinctive form of attack, a punch. You learn to punch properly, learn good footwork, and get pretty good cardio and overall fitness. Plus, through sparring, you can manage your fear of hitting and getting hit. That's really the greatest benefit of sparring in my opinion. In any case, if you've taken up any of the styles I mentioned, you're already on your way there. But if you're in a style that doesn't spar often, or in a way that you'd like it to, like Taekwondo, you can do cross-style matches with friends. I used to do this. I used to spar against Taekwondo and Sanda guys, and they could do some serious damage. I've been oblique kicked, which was not fun, but I've managed some cool stuff of my own, like landing side kicks or spinning back kicks, despite not really being taught them in Muay Thai classes. It's a fun environment to see if the stuff you've learned or that you just want to try out can really land. It's sort of like a laboratory. When you try harder sparring sessions, you might be shocked by your own capabilities. I did not know I could throw a teep as fast as I could before I tried getting into more intense rounds. I'm incredibly grateful that I had the time and passion to get into it when I could because, these days, I'm pretty much the male version of Nozomi at the beginning of Strike It Rich. Doing all these videos is slowly motivating me to get back into it whenever I can, so I'm grateful that people are, here talking about it or that I'm talking about it with people. Anyways, sparring, the nature of sparring, it's important because you have to do it for more reasons than just you learn to punch good. Of course, that's probably the most important part of it on the surface level, but all that stuff about learning discipline and respect is true. It's just something that happens over time. Your attitude changes the more you participate in this sport, and you don't really keep track of it. People say martial arts is good for discipline and respect, but you're not going to be able to tell. Learning that you're not as good as you thought you were, but also that you're not made of glass, is a key part of self-confidence for any man. You humble yourself, but become proud of yourself as you improve. Sparring also forces you to manage your mental state, and this is where you get back to being Batman. You cannot panic and start throwing full power haymakers. I had the opposite problem when I first started sparring, where I just couldn't get aggressive enough to advance. It's a strange feeling seeing yourself look cool with pads and bags for a long time, and then not being able to move or use those combos despite knowing them because your target is hitting back and you're kind of scared. Even throwing a jab, doing anything other than pure defense, like circling or blocking and parrying, felt like I was moving through syrup. It made me mad at first, of course, feeling like my training was for nothing, but once I got over the fear after a few more sessions, I was able to use the combos I learned. They just automatically happened. Like my limbs knew where to go because it was muscle memory. And that was really an unforgettable feeling. The moment where everything comes together will stick with you for a long time. It's what forges Batman into a force of will, making it through the rough parts of training. Once you see everything, your effort pay off in real time, that's when the self-confidence really comes in, internalizes. You've experienced being bad at something that you can't fake being good at, and then succeeding at it. It's true improvement. It can happen in any sport, sure, but martial arts is special because it's really all on you there. The sparring partner, the coach, and everyone else certainly has a part to play. They can't be, assholes. But when it comes down to going live, you have no one else. It's you. You've got to steel yourself. Once you can do that, you get stronger mentally. I assume sparring is a key part of Batman's training, particularly when he trains his Robins. I have to mention this, but I find Damian Wayne to be the worst Robin. He's annoying. Maybe his writing has improved, but as far as I remember, he's not even edgy in a good way, just plain irritating. But I haven't seen a lot of Robin's training because I don't really read Nightwing or Robin comics. I stick to Batman's solo runs. A good bit of Batman's experience comes from live combat, going out and fighting criminals. He uses his skills in conjunction with all kinds of tech, theatricality, and deception, and most recently he's been given these electric gloves or something, and these days his batsuit always has some kind of armor woven in. So he goes out with help, reinforcement, tools, along with his training. His martial arts are actually a fallback compared to stealth and tools. Now we gotta talk about the best thing coming out of DC, if not all of Western comics right now, and that is Absolute Batman. Absolute Batman not only has impressive tools like that cape, but he's like 7 feet tall and 400 pounds or something, and I don't think any of us are built like that. If you are, have fun fighting Bane. By the way, I can't wait to see how that ends. I saw Dark Knight Rises in cinemas as a kid, so Bane as a villain holds a special place in my heart. I also saw Revenge of the Sith even earlier in cinemas when I was really young, which is why I probably remember Anakin's burning alive as being much more visually horrifying than it actually was. Now, Absolute Batman lacks the money, right? But he still has Bruce Wayne's other traits like his genius intellect and unbreakable will. Not to mention, he is being given a superhuman physique. The guy exploded a sandbag with 1 or 2 punches. Now, we don't have the resources that Ken and Bruce has. He traveled to remote places that took tons of time and money to reach, and basically saved himself a lot of effort by skipping over the typical education methods. I love his backstory, and I like parts of The Knight, but I just wish there was a larger series about him there in that in-between stage, because there's tons of story potential there. I really loved the Matt Reeves Batman movie, so I hope that in the sequel we get some flashbacks or at least training scenes. It may not be Tibetan monks, but even seeing Alfred train Bruce in the cave or something would be awesome. If you've seen Gotham, the TV show, it definitely had its ups and downs, but one of my favorite aspects was the long story arc of Bruce slowly developing prototypes of the skills and traits that would help him turn into Batman eventually. And even there, boxing was the first thing Alfred taught him. It is a key part of Batman's style, regardless of which version you're talking about. Even in The Dark Knight Returns, with old Batman, he uses boxing and some jiu-jitsu against the mutant leader, along with some kicks and other moves. So the styles I mentioned are consistent in a lot of versions of the character. So if you're inspired by Batman, the incarnation of human will, there are really only 2 or 3 styles you as a regular guy need to know, especially if we're looking at the version of Bruce Wayne I've compiled in my head. Absolute Batman, remember, he trained a fewer number of styles, probably because he didn't have the money to go where mainline Bruce did. So you can either go for what I'll call mainline Batman, which is boxing, jiu-jitsu, and karate or taekwondo, or Absolute Batman, which is a mix of Muay Thai and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Depending on the support this video gets, this becomes a new series on the channel. I really do hope it gets lots of views and stuff, because it'll encourage me to do more of these. And I'm going to do more of them anyways, but the views and stuff wouldn't hurt. I don't think I'm going to put this with my Kamishiro Yu and Baki fighting style analyses, as I feel like this is a little bit different. I made a post about Yakuza 3 Kiwami, specifically the Mine Gaiden, and once that comes out and I get to see more footage, I'm definitely planning on a deep dive on Mine's fighting style. I do find it pretty funny how they basically let him go like full Chuni as part of his moveset. In any case, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that for the algorithm, and keep that notification bell on. I usually upload videos every 2 weeks or so, and if you guys made it to the end, comment next up and then let me know which character you guys want to see next. It can be anyone, comics, manga, games, it's up to you. I'm open to anything right now. But yeah, thanks for watching and I hope to see you all next time.